Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show, How We Grow. This is your essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business. With advice and insights from the best in the biz, I'm your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show, How We Grow. We are delighted to welcome Jim DeVos with us today. He's the president, Best Beach Getaways. He oversees a vast portfolio of over 450 vacation rental properties across Florida's Emerald Coast and beyond. Jim's been instrumental in driving the success of his company. His previous roles include leading beachside luxury rental and shaping marketing strategies at Morrison Management Specialist. And today we're going to talk about vacation rental managers, how they can optimize their off-season to set themselves up for a successful year ahead. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Lynell. It's good to be with you today. Really good to be with you. This is going to be a fun topic, and it's really fun that you and I have been sort of on the same page here on what does the timing tell us we ought to be talking about. So this is going to be great, and I've got my thoughts about it, and it's been fun sort of thinking about what are the things that we normally do, and what are the things that we ought to be doing. Maybe we haven't done in the past. So I'm actually going to be able to take what we talk about today and share it with my team so that we get ourselves moving in the right direction and we add the things that we need to add. So this is going to be great. We're going to have a good time here.
I'm really excited about it because when we first started talking about this, and I wanted to know what you wanted to talk about, I thought it was interesting that I just finished prepping for my August newsletter that goes out, and it's the same topic that you have. And I was like, wow, It's just that time of year. We've got it down. Anybody that's in vacation rentals knows what you do this time of year. So tell me, what are the things that you're thinking about? It's almost September. What are you thinking?
Will do. It's really, this is a great time. And I'm listening to my team talking about, thankfully, we're at the end of this. I can relax a little bit. Pumpkin spice season's coming up.
That's
and,
right.
And we can go to Starbucks now. So, and what we tend to do is we tend to stop back and tend to take a breather, and that's a good thing. But we should also take this time to really work on what are the things that we ought to be focusing on in the off season to get ready for next year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to use the context of operational excellence. And in the corporate world, they talk about operational excellence and they shorten it as OpEx, right? So I'm going to talk to you today about the 10 OpEx things that we ought to be doing as vacation rental managers. So
phenomenal.
The first one is this: OpEx your inventory. And what I mean by that is that now's the time to be we do what's called a condition and inventory report. We go into every unit and we look and we do an assessment of the condition of the unit. As we've gotten through the season, what are the things that need to be addressed before we move into next year? And it's always good when you do that. First of all, it's good to have a checklist. And by the way, if somebody wants to get a checklist from me, they can email you and I'll be happy to share. But also, it's not just your eyes, it's the eyes of your guests. So you also take that as an opportunity to incorporate what the guests have told you over the course of the year about the unit. The beds were too hard, or the beds were too soft, or boy, that sofa's looking a little worn. And so you want to incorporate that feedback in there. And then when you're sharing it with the owner, make sure that the owner knows it isn't just coming from us, it's coming from the customer, right? And so, and by the way, that by coming from the customer, it buys you a little bit more credibility. So anyway, first thing, OpEx, your inventory. Make sure that your units are ready for next year. They have the improvements so that when you go into season, you are going into season best foot forward.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Because this
Sure.
is so who do you have that goes in? Do you have inspectors that are assigned? Do you use your personnel that normally clean? What do you do?
We do. We actually, our team, we have a team of operations managers. We're in, I have to count, 1, 2, 3, we're in 5 markets. Each one of those has an operations manager. And then within those markets, we have property managers. So what those guys do in each market is they get together and they decide, okay, who's going to what property. And so we're in, over the course of about 60 days, we're in all of our properties and we are going through the list. And then coming out of that, then the operations managers review the ones that they haven't seen personally, make sure they understand it, and then they're sharing it with their owners. So um, it's a disciplined sort of process, but it's everybody looking, because we have a checklist of things that we're looking for. Everybody's looking for the same thing. So it works. And then the operations managers know that when they have their units and they're sharing it with their owners, that they're getting the right information to them. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Okay, and what's number two?
Number two is OpExing your listing performance. So, the two big guys, Airbnb and VRBO, they will give you your performance metrics at your ranking metrics. They will give you how many times a unit appeared in searches, how many times it was clicked on. And while it would be lovely to also get that kind of information against the competition, what's really good and what's really important, if you can't see where you are relative to the competition, is look at where you are relative to yourself. So you take the units that are you basically, it's called indexing. So you index, and there's a math in there, but you index the performance of each unit, and you zero in on the ones that are underperforming. Start there and say, okay, why are these units why are they not appearing in searches? What is it? Is it because of amenities? Is it because of photography? Is it because of the description? What are the reasons why it's not performing as well as it should? So you start to look at the ones that are underperforming, and you look at them against the ones that are performing really well. And so you have your own little analysis there, right? And so OpExing your listing performance, big deal. And you can get that information. You can get that information from Airbnb. You can get it from VRBO. And so that's a great place to start. So
And there are a lot of platforms out there that'll give it to you now
sure,
that
sure.
have that data. If you're looking
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do that,
yeah.
that's excellent. Yeah.
So pick your favorite, and then use it to sort, that's your market intelligence. Use it to start to work on, it's if you elevate the bottom and you get them up, all of a sudden everything is getting better, right? And by the way, those owners will be appreciative that you've taken the time to do that. That's, if I'm an owner on the fence and I'm not 100% happy with my performance, knowing that you've dug into it, that you're working on my behalf, hey, great owner retention tool, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The second thing is really OpExing your listing, okay, itself, OpExing the listing itself. And what I mean by that, there are three things, and there's four, but three things in the listing that I want to zero in on here. Number one is photography, right? Do you have the photography that really brings forth the unit? I can't tell you, I can't tell you how many times we're looking at a unit during the course of the year. We go, when did we take these pictures last? Who took these pictures? I mean, so looking, getting your eye on the photography, and then getting your eye on the description. Are you describing the property in the right way? And a lot of times what we'll do is we'll look at reviews, but particularly the positive ones. We'll look at the guest feedback that we get sort of transactionally, and we'll compare that to the descriptions and say, are we highlighting what we ought to be highlighting, right? And then the third thing is amenities. The big guys, VRBO, Airbnb, they change the structure of amenities all the time. So, but they will tell you what are guests filtering listings for, right? Make sure you've got them all checked. We do kind of an inventory of that kind of stuff throughout the year. And it's so often that we'll go, well, how did we miss that one? Let's get that in there. So it's really OpExing your listing, photos, description, amenities. There you go. The fourth thing for me is OpExing your in-account occupancy. OpExing your occupancy. We talk about ADR, and we talk about RevPAR, and we talk about all that. What it really comes down to is what percentage of nights available are being booked by month. Not for the year, by month. You got to be narrow about that. Think about it this way. Okay, let's say you got 100 properties, right? You got 100 properties, um, and in those properties, you really work hard on it, and you get 3 more nights each month. Okay, by doing whatever magic you got to do, 3 more nights each month. Okay, and let's say you get $100 a night for those nights that you get those incremental nights. You're
36,
talking
right.
about, huh?
That's 36, right?
Yeah, um, yeah, you're talking about adding you're adding dollars to the owner, right? That's the first thing. All of a sudden, I'm adding 4 or 5 grand more to the owner's revenue this year. But there's another thing, okay? If you got 100 properties and you generate another 5 grand, let's say, and and you're on a 20% commission, and let's pretend you're making some money on fees as well.
Let's
You're talking,
pretend.
you're
Yeah.
talking easy 100 grand over the course of a year, right?
Yeah. That's true.
Uh,
Yeah.
what can you do with an extra 100 grand? I know I can find a place for it, right? Yeah, that's a big deal. And we don't think about it that way. It a lot of times, and by the way, a lot of the market data people, key data, air DNA, they look at stuff on a macro level and they sort of give you the big stuff. That's not where the magic is. The magic's in narrow.
It's true.
It's getting down into it. That's where the magic is.
It's
So,
those fees that you're talking about on each individual reservation. It's one
yep.
thing to get the extra 3 nights, which is,
Mhm.
at $100, that's not that much because you're only making a commission off of that. But let's consider the fact that you might have a linen fee with that 100% goes to you, or
Yep.
whatever that fee is that goes to you.
Yes.
Those are what you're working on. You're not
You
just
got
working on making the owner happy. You're working on the bottom line of your company and bringing more
Ta-da.
revenue. Yeah.
Ta-da. Yeah. This is a
Excellent.
win. This is a win for everybody,
It
right?
is.
A
Yeah.
win for everybody. Um, the next thing is OpExing your rate structure. Okay. And what I mean by that is this. First of all, if you're not using dynamic pricing, get off your butt and go find it,
True.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't know what I'm talking about, find the next DARM conference, Data and Revenue Management Conference. Go and learn about it and pick one. Because if you're not using dynamic pricing, you're in the dark ages today. I mean, dynamic pricing and revenue management started nearly 40 years ago in the airline industry. Okay, we're just getting into it now. For the past 7, 8, 9 years.
True.
Okay, it has for us. It's made our business better. Okay, because it allows us to use a sophisticated software algorithm to price out for rolling 365 days. So what is today, the 20th? So I've got pricing through August 19th of next year already in place. Tomorrow through August 20th.
Vacation rental managers utilize LiveRes and their powerful software that goes beyond the standard. LiveRes empowers you to operate your business the way you want, while offering you powerful support and access to a community of partners and experts to grow your vacation rental business. LiveRes's industry differentiator is software plus support, community, and service, with high converting websites included to get you started. Learn more at liveres.com.
So I had this situation happen to me. I had a property manager, very large property manager,
Yep.
email me, and they said, we want to do revenue management and do automated pricing, but I'm afraid. Tell me the ins and outs, the ups and downs. And I literally wrote like this 2-page or 3-page synopsis for him of the things he had to think about, the type
Yep.
of, if he really wants to do this and automate it, there are certain things you have to think about in the software. Does it provide this? Are you doing this? There is some background that you need to do to make it successful, but I don't understand how people can do without it today either.
There were 3 of us in my company. This was back when we had like 250 units, right? We were pricing manually, and we'd start in August and finish in November because we always had a lot more seasons than average. So we were pricing every property every season, right? We had 26 seasons and 300 properties. By the time we were done, we weren't talking to each other. I mean,
I've been there, done that. I understand. Let me
you know
ask
what
you
I mean?
this.
Yeah.
So adding to that, I think that we have to, when we think about adding the dynamic pricing, we have to think about something else. When you're leaving money on the table because of automated pricing, up or down, You're also leaving money on the table if you're not using automated gap software that will look
So
to see
gap
if
filler.
somebody's come in
Oh yeah.
before or
Yeah.
after.
Oh yeah. We gap filler has been
Automated. Has to be
yeah,
automated, guys.
perfect. It's perfect. Yeah, it's just perfect. And it is this, and this has been such a weird year. Okay. Now mind you, now this is going to sound a little crazy. It sounded crazy to me. We had a gap filler. Our gap filler was you have options, right? You can go 1 night gap, 2 night gap, whatever. We chose 2 night. We were comfortable with 1 night, but we chose 2 night. And we've done that for a few years, and it's worked really, really well. This year we looked at the amount of gap fillers for our year. Let's just experiment with 2 night stays. Let's see what happens. We'd never done that. Let's see what
Were
happens.
you doing 3 or 1, or what were you doing before?
Well, 3 night minimum.
That's what, okay. So what
yeah.
happened?
Yeah. So we got an unbelievable number of 2 night stays this in peak season. It was crazy. And my revenue manager called me up when we first started doing it. He called me up. He says, "Can you believe this? Somebody just paid $1,500 for 2 nights. Why?" And I don't know why. But it is. In fact, I probably should have. I didn't think about pulling some data. I probably should have pulled some data and said, okay, this is what we're seeing for that.
If two's the magic number, that's the magic number. And I kind of think there's statistics to back that up.
Yeah, it's crazy. And now the beauty of dynamic pricing with the right software tool is this. I have owners. I just had a conversation with an owner a couple of days ago who said, "I just don't like this. I don't like the fact that this, that it rents for this on this week, and a week later it rents for this." Go figure. I go through the conversation dispassionately and objectively as I possibly can. And if I still can't convince them, then the dynamic pricing software allows me to set the rates quickly. So we came to an agreement of what ought to happen to make her happy. And less than 24 hours later, it was done because the tool is so nimble. If you got the right one, it's really nimble. Now, here's the thing about dynamic pricing that tends to get lost in the shuffle. Okay. It is not set it and forget it.
No.
It is, we are in it every single day. But the beauty of it is that when we need to make a change, it gives us, it makes making the changes that we need to make easy. Now, here's the thing about OpExing your rates. The one thing about dynamic pricing, that every one of them, no matter who you're using, has what's called a far forward premium. Okay. Sometimes that far forward premium is absurdly high, or it could be absurdly low, but more often than not, I see it absurdly high. And so what you need to do is you need to track your year over year bookings to see, am I right here? Am I doing as well as I did last year?
Are we talking booking window?
Yeah. Well, no. I'm talking about year over year.
I know, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not really booking window.
When you talk about far forward, we're talking about far forward. Are we talking about the length of the booking window that they're booking it?
No. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. So you're talking about pricing that far out for the booking window. Okay.
Yeah, pricing that far out. There's a premium put in there.
Gotcha.
And what I'm trying, and what we try and do is look at, okay, where were we last year at this time for next year? For the next year, where are we this year for the next year? How are we doing? Are we doing better? Are we doing worse? Are we getting the booking activity, the advanced booking activity we ought to be getting? And if we're not, then we need to start looking at that far forward premium and making an adjustment to it. Now, that's two ways. It's we're either booking too much or we're booking too little. You've got to go in and you got to make a judgment, right? So
Now, let me ask you this.
sure.
So the booking window this year, as far as when people
Oh,
booked, tell me what you saw and tell me how that affects what we're talking about doing.
I'm this year, it was so tight.
It was.
There were, we're getting the number from May through today, the number of bookings that we're getting that are 2 days in advance
Wow.
are just crazy. I've never seen it like I've seen it this year. Never.
Me either. That's why I was asking you.
Yeah.
So how are you going to keep that in mind? Because I got to tell you, a lot of us in the industry have seen this booking window that's been ridiculous all the way up. I was talking with someone brilliant from Oregon recently, well, actually a few months ago, and the booking window went just like you're talking about in a market traditionally where we see, 180 days for those 7 nights, or we're seeing, like you're talking about, 2 days before people are coming in and they are like, do you think it's because they know that we're dropping our prices?
Some of it, yes. But here's the other part of it. The other part of it is people are waiting to the last minute because they're concerned about food, gas, mortgage. They're two things. One, the booking window is narrow. Two, the length of stay is shortening. Why is that? My daughter, we're in Florida. My daughter lives up in Georgia. She got 3 kids. And she said to me, now mind you, I've got 500 vacation rentals, right? I could put her up somewhere, right? I can pay for it. I can put her up somewhere. Here's what she's saying to me. We can't afford to do it. We can't afford the gas, can't afford the food. We've had to make significant adjustments in our lifestyle given the amount of inflation. Her husband's a teacher. She works part-time.
Wow.
And so they're lower middle income, and I'm, that's the market I'm in is mom, dad, and the kids getting in the minivan and going on vacation. That's my market. That's who they are. And that's what I think it's more that than people going, well, I'm going to wait till the last minute because I'm going to get a better deal.
Mhm.
I think it's more the economy than it is that. There
I
is
think
some of that.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
you have a good point there to tell. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, here, let me give you the other side of that because this is rather interesting too. We have had more people who are currently staying, and again, I'm going from May on, who have currently stayed with us, who they get here and day 2 of their stay, they message us and say, "Hey, can we add another night?" I had more of that this year than ever before.
There is
So
software that will automatically ask them if they want that. That will text them and ask them. So
yeah,
you might want to look at it as you're looking at operational efficiencies for this
yeah,
year. That's a great
yeah,
software to have.
yeah, yeah. Actually, we don't. I don't have software that does it, but we do it ourselves anyway.
Well, of course.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
if we don't have
but
software,
still,
we do.
yeah, but still unprompted. They're going, hey, can we stay another day? Can we stay another 2? And what that tells me is they're getting down here. They had said, this is what we can afford. But then they're getting down here and they're going, can we stay? They're looking at their wallet. They're looking at their checking account. And they're going, let's see if we can get another day out of here. So what does that tell
We've
you?
got
I mean,
leftovers. We cooked a
yeah,
big meal. Well, I want to say thank you so much for what you've given me and the tips. I thank you for being so prepared. Jim, you're so prepared for this. I love it.
thank you. Thank you. Well, you don't want to be an idiot. You don't want to, it's like, I'm not going to listen to that guy. I don't want to be that guy. Yeah. Well, yeah.
This episode of How We Grow is brought to you by LiveRes. To find out more about how LiveRes can help grow your vacation rental business, visit liveres.com. Make sure to search for How We Grow in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.